Welcome to Living Chassidus. Together, let's live the Chassidus we learn.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Chassidus in the Morning. 15 minutes to change our lives. Kuntres Umayan. Beginning of Maamar Tes, Perek Gimel. Before we start, we'll give some tzedakah. Gedila tzedakah, and we have this whole series is in honor of all the Yidden in Eretz Yisroel for the safety and security, and especially the soldiers and the hostages, that Hashem should come back safely. And there should be true peace. Peace, meaning should be safe for the Yidden in Eretz Yisrael. They should live comfortably and safely, not having to worry about any of their enemies that are around them. And we're going to focus on Yosef Yitzchak ben Simcha, and for Rumi bat Maariv, that the mitzvah Hashem should be good, it should be safe, and only good things. Okay, so we started Perek Gimel, and we said essentially, we're discussing today, we're going to go through Perek Gimel, this contrast between Hishtalshelus and why in Seder Hishtalshelus there needs to be 4 orders of the way it works. It's being exact, meduyak, being din v'cheshbon, and then we're going to, hopefully, with the time, if we have enough time today, we're going to go through, in contrast to so we started talking about that there's 4 reasons, and we're explaining the 4 reasons why there is din v'cheshbon, there's reckoning. Everything has to be meduyak, exact. An accountant. It's like I have to say the accountant joke that I know from my garden, that there was a guy that once he went around asking what does 1 + 1 equals. So he goes to, the first guy, the second guy, he goes to the accountant. The accountant turns, closes all the blinds. He whispers to his ear. He goes, how much do you want it to equal? So by Seder Hishtalshelus, everything is with a din and cheshbon, all calculated. So we said the first reason is because of the inner light, that every light has its nature that has to go together with it. So you have the nature of the moichin, the intellect is more cold and more calm and settled. So that light has to be tailored towards that. Whereas the light that goes into the nature of the heart, which is emotion, is more fiery. So everything has its place. It has to go directly to its place. So now we're going to the second one. The second one is the teva. Haseder hu teva hacheshbon. The nature of order is that it's with a cheshbon, v'adiuk, v'kamos eichus, quality and quantity. Another nature of order and din v'cheshbon is that we have to calculate how much the person be getting. Being healthy, you have to know, how much, like a athlete has to know how much calories to be intaking versus how much they're outputting with their exercise or whatever it is. And so too in Seder Hishtalshelus, when it's all in Seder Hishtalshelus, that's how it works. It has to work things out very meduyak. You can't just give more, especially let's say someone's sick, you can't give them too much of something or too little of something. You have to be very careful. And the third reason is the Eires hamislabshim bekelim, the lights that are included in the vessels. Hine av kam kasher klalus hakeli masimim elaer, even if the general vessel fits the light, yeah. I'll give you an example soon. Just like the stuff of the brain, which the brain is made to receive intellect. So that's where intellect works. And the seat of the heart, which is in a general sense the place for the emotions. Nevertheless, has to be very exact, the light of the seichel, the way it goes into the mind. And a simple example of this is, if you have an outlook, in every house and every apartment, you have breakers. Because even though you have the plug that goes towards to the right outlet, sometimes it's being overworked or something, and so it breaks it. So it has to be exact, that it doesn't happen, that it doesn't overwork itself. So everything has to be very meduyik. And therefore, in regards to the emotions, so to the emotions, the same way that everything has to be exact, because even though in general you'll have the mind is a seat for intellect, but it has to be very, very tailored, the amount of light that goes in. Why? Because the imlay kain, if it doesn't work this way and it's not very much tailored, the chemer hamoyach, the vessels, the ability of the brain, and of the heart, lo yachilu as a hamaruba, they won't be able to receive the abundant light. Umiskalkalim, and then it gets ruined. I we see clearly. Like, unfortunately, God forbid, some people that are unwell in their mind, like mental health, and also in the heart. And why does that happen? This is a phenomenal idea. Why does it happen? People have mental health issues or issues, emotional issues, things like this, because you have the vessel and the light aren't in sync. There's too much light and not enough vessel. And meaning when you look at someone with special needs, let's say, or we deal with the mental health, so we think to ourselves, we have a problem. And we think it's in a negative sense, but really, what the Rebbe Rashab is saying is we have a problem, and that problem is the too much light and not enough vessel. So it's a problem, but coming from like a positive place. And I think Sheish Tab says in his book, The God of Our Understanding, talks about addiction, and his point is like this, probably where he got it from. Well, I'm sure many other places in the Chassidus talks about this, that the addiction comes from a person who's too spiritually sensitive, meaning there's a lot of not enough kli, and they don't have the kli, the keli, the vessel to receive this, to be able to hold it properly. And that's why the main point we're trying to bring here is a Seder Ishtalshalus has to be very meduyak. Because if he doesn't, then you have mental health issues. You have emotional issues. And especially in our generation, you could say, because we're a lot more sensitive to this. And we have to work on realizing meaning, a simple sense, if we have these issues, we feel mental health issues or emotional issues, especially now with our phones, it's unfortunately, the phone is the best thing to happen and the worst thing to happen at the same time. So if we're getting stuck with all these emotional and mental health issues, we have to realize it's because we have to be more sensitive to ourselves and sensitive and working on our connection with Hashem to build that kli, that vessel to be able to receive the light. Which means, in simple sense, I think it means what we're saying here, that we're a lot more sensitive to ourselves, and which means we need a lot more davening and learning, and a lot more doing good things and helping people and being a shining light to the world around us. And that will help counterbalance, will make our kli bigger. Of course, someone needs to go to a therapist or something. I'm not chas v'shalom saying you shouldn't. I'm just saying in the simple things we can do now, and what we're learning here is, and how to look at the perspective is not, I have something wrong with me, is that I have a lot of a lot of light, a lot of light, not enough kalim. Just like the breaker, it breaks, and you have to re-switch everything on. You have to fix it because there's too much energy coming in. So too with us, we have so much energy, so we have to try to make our vessels bigger. And that's the third. That's because the light that go into the keli has to be tailored properly, otherwise it causes problems. And so the fourth is the descent. The shenyane lehishtalshal the daga shalamat mimenu, because the light has to go to a level lower than it. Harei behechrach sheha'er yiyeh mechushban umeduyak lefi gedel v'roich avakli. It has to be organized according, because the Seder Shtalshel is going down from levels, so the process has to be very exact. Because the lulei zois, without doing it exactly, Besides the fact, not only will the vessel not be able to receive the light because it's going at a low level and the light is still too powerful, but even more, and it breaks it. It won't be able to handle it and it'll be too strong. It's like trying to take a cup, trying to get from Niagara Falls. Your cup's going to break. It's going to slip out of your hand. It just doesn't work. It has to go through all the Seder Shtashos from Niagara Falls, and it goes to smaller rivers, and it goes to whatever we get the water from, and it goes to the pipes, and all the way till we get to our top. You turn it on, and a little bit comes out perfectly. And that's a whole Seder Shtashos. That's how it goes. Process is slowly descending to make it palpable for us. But if we miss one of the steps, it doesn't work. Yeah. Like we see clearly, for example, one of the famous examples Kuntres always uses is a teacher and a student. So when the teacher is going to teach and he's not going to estimate and try to figure out where the student is actually holding, and he's just going to teach the way he understands it, the way he or she understands it, and just give it the way they get it. Not only will the student not be able to receive what is being given, it's like a preschool teacher. You come to teach something, and you're not gonna bring it down to the level of the student. Not only will the student not get anything, even more, you can confuse them. And this is sort of the biggest issue. They're not getting the information, they're getting more confused. And that's the worst. And the reason is, because it's a Seder Shtashos. The light is going low and low and being diffused and being contracted more, so we're able to receive it. And it has to be according to that level. And as in the case of the teacher and the student, the teacher has to understand the level of the student, and if not, it just doesn't work. And we're saying not just doesn't work that the student won't get anything, it'll get worse. And a simple example of it is a kid could get the feeling of they don't understand anything, they're not smart enough, or it's too hard, and whatever negative outcomes can come from it. So it's very important that the teacher tailor the class towards the levels of the students, and especially nowadays when you have a classroom with many kids, it's very difficult and it's a very challenging. That's why being a teacher is a very special, unique job. And if you're good at it, it's an obligation because it's hard. Now, so that's these 4 levels. We'll go over them quickly, and I'll probably stop here. And tomorrow we'll talk about, in contrast to L'mayla Seder Shtashos. But we're saying is there's 4 reasons why, when it comes to Seder Shtashos, and now also hopefully through learning this, we have a better understanding. When we talk about Seder Shtashos, it doesn't mean some random concept, Seder Shtashos, a chain-like descent, whatever that means. Now it means something we can sort of understand it, that it's being organized and orderly and making sure everything comes in its right way. And we said there's 4, and the Seder Shtashos is with the din v'cheshbon. Judgment has to be exact. If you have, in the process of the electricity going into your house, if it's not gone through the whole process of the Seder Shtashos from the power plant all the way down to us, and you skip a step, it won't work. It won't have electricity. And there's 4 reasons. We said one is because the light is inner. So, and that light has an essential nature. So in my house, my electricity outlet needs to match my clear, which is my plug. That's one reason, because otherwise it's not going to work properly. And the second thing is it's because everything's within order. So it has to be the amount, quality, and quantity. The third thing is that the light goes into the vessel, and so and the vessel and the light have to match. And if they don't match, it doesn't work. Or there's too much light coming into the vessel, it's not going to work either way. Like we talked about the mental health and emotional health doesn't work if it doesn't have that connection. That it's not tailored properly. And then we talked about, because of that, also we should make sure to make our keli bigger. For having these issues, maybe trying to help ourselves and making our keli bigger by doing Torah mitzvahs and trying to help people and being the person that is try to help makes a big difference. And then we said also the fourth reason from the descent that it happens, that it's going through all this descent, and like a teacher and the students, that teacher is descending that information to the students, and have to tailor it exactly toward the student, because not just if they don't do that, or they don't do it well, the student won't receive anything. Even worse, the student will get confused, and it can unfortunately ruin them. Beautiful stuff. Mitzvah Hashem. Tomorrow we'll talk about how it goes. The opposite, in contrast to this. Have an amazing day, everybody.